All right, good morning, good morning, good morning to all of you. This is a great morning, and I'm Dr. Cheryl Clarke, and we come every Tuesday morning to go ahead and give you your power call for today. Go ahead and share the link with someone and let them know that we are here only about 20 minutes, but we give that power boost in the morning as we begin to move you through your day. Move you through your week, actually. You can actually go back and watch the reruns of the Speak Your Power Now calls that happen every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, if you don't know me, I'm the author of the Girl You Cute movement, I call it. But this is the book, this is the guide. And I wrote this from a therapist's memoir to for healing the journey for the inner girl, right? And this is for women of color, women that begins to understand we may look a little different, we may talk a little different, and we begin to move into our confidence. All right. So we usually start with the speak now declaration right there in the very beginning. And I want you to begin to take a nice slow deep breath in through your nostrils and exhale that out. Take a nice slow deep breath in through the nostrils once again. And exhale that out. Repeat silently to yourself after me. Today I reclaim my power of purpose. Today I declare that I have unshakable faith and confidence in my uniqueness. Today I declare that I will not live in fear, but with power, love, and a sound mind. Today I declare that I always communicate with words to empower myself and others. Today I declare to always honor myself by living in the present and living powerfully in each moment. Amen and Ashe. All right. So today I want to do something a little different. I want to do something because I think this is going to be very important because I always talk about communication. This is what I'm about. This is what I do. How can we do communication? How can we speak with power? How can we begin to move with power, right? So I'm going to do something a little different today, and I'm glad you're all here because I don't normally do this. But it struck me as I was scrolling in social media. So I'm going to set you up just a little bit. I'm going to play a clip for you. And this clip is going to be very interesting for our community, for us, because it's important for us to realize how we are seen in the world, how we look in the world. And I want you to see how sometimes watch it with no judgment, okay? That is the only thing I'm asking you to do is watch this clip with no judgment. So I'm gonna be quiet and I'm going to play this for you, share the sound, and I'm only gonna play a couple of minutes of it, and then we're going to stop it. And where is the play button?
To SOS to see if they were going to be able to help her with the balance. What she indicated to me
Anyways,
was,
can I talk? They're not going to be able to help. They're not going to be able to help with
Ma'am,
balance.
ma'am. Let him finish and I will
He's
then hear
rude. I
from
don't
you.
like.
You want to know what?
He's rude.
You don't try to overtalk me because that will never happen.
That's fine.
Am I understood?
Yes.
You know what? I'm going to pass the matter. You go down, check your attitude, and then I'll call your case back up. Have a seat. Have a seat.
Man, you about to piss me off. Come on.
Keep back talking. You better take that out of here. Oh, don't give me that look. Lee, get her out of my courtroom. Get her out of my courtroom. Court will pass that matter. Court does call the case of YPF 16 LLC versus Nakia Turner.
Your Honor, I'll wait for it.
That just messes up my whole day. Everybody else is going to have a hard time with me now.
Okay, I'm going to stop it here. I wanted you to see this, and I'm going to talk about this today. Now, I want you to just to reserve your reaction from it. We all have different things that we may have seen in this clip. And I want you to look at something that, as Black women, and how we mislabel, because he goes on and the judge goes on to call her, this is what I'm talking about when I let Ghetto in my courtroom. And this is what's going to happen. And he starts to go on and on about her being ghetto. So this is where I want to talk a little bit about communication. The defense is not communication. But what mistaken it as ghetto is often a survival mode. So when she was never taught how to communicate, I looked at her, she was looking, how do you look at this? Today I want to see how we can actually look at this more differently. So there's a young woman standing in the courtroom, right? Her child is beside her. She's behind on her rent. This is what it is. She's speaking to the judge. She's trying to explain herself, and the exchange escalates. You could tell that her voice, you could tell by her posture, everything. Her explaining, became longer as you watch the clip, and I'm going to put that in the clip so you could actually see it for its entirety. She became defensive. And at one point, the judge called her ghetto. So I paused. I was looking at it. And in the very beginning, I did have judgment too. But I said, Cheryl, this is what you do. Because many people watch that clip and they are quick to mislabel her behavior and mislabel the communication, right? Or label her. And I wanted to ask us today, when we call something ghetto, or is it actually possibly untrained communication? Could it be that? What if our community, well, I don't think it's about the culture, but to survival mode speaking, I want to say. I want to unpack that today because we've all been in this phase where I talked about before, talking versus communication. Talking is not the same as communicating. Talking is from an emotional space. Talking is when you're expressing, and communication is very different. You create outcomes, you move in power, you establish boundaries, you create situations that's going to be very much so. I got this under control. I got my nervous system under control. And when we talk from a place of defense, we are no longer in control. We are no longer in the space of understanding this right here is not how I'm going to be able to get my thought across. So now, what does that really look like? That survival communication. Now, defense communication from trauma, the survival mode responses, and the deregulation of her nervous system, of our nervous system. That's what I would say happened here. So many times when we communicate, so many times when we are not shown how to communicate, in growing up in environments that you always had to defend yourself verbally to survive, being soft in our community, like if you were soft and you get hurt, you had to be loud to be heard sometimes. Showing vulnerability was a part of weakness. I'm just saying some of the things that are said in our community. Communication was about winning, not resolving. Oh, you did that. You got that. You did that. So we learned survival communication. Talking fast so they can't interrupt you, right? Get loud so they can hear you. Over explain so they can believe you. Be defensive, right? Fight back so you're not going to lose. This worked in the hood, but it's not going to work in the courtroom or at work or other places that we tend to bring that in. So why nobody taught us this? I want to talk about this today. We're not taught strategic communication. Not in school, not at home, not in some of the communities that we're brought up in. I'm a product of that. Now, I'm a product of that in that facet of understanding, defending yourself. And this is why I wrote the book, because now when sometimes we are being punished. You've been punished, not sometimes. You talk back, eventually we got punished for that. If you talk back, we got punished. And we have to learn how to survive in hostile environments. Sometimes we code switch in professional environments. We shut down, we go silent. So how do we regulate? We never was taught to regulate our nervous system before we speak. How to communicate when one has less power than each other, for you. So how do we directly begin to move into that? See, that young woman, and why this young woman matters in that courtroom. She didn't need manners. She needed communication skills. How to speak to someone with power. The judge had power. Yes, she could have been deemed disrespectful. Absolutely. But was she even mentored? I'm going in front of a judge. What do I say? How do I say it? Did she get that advice from the right person? How does she advocate for herself without escalating, without going back and forth with insults? How do I stay calm when I'm terrified and maybe embarrassed that my son is right next to me? Maybe it wasn't a great idea to bring your son, because you're modeling. How do you be clear without being defensive? But maybe no one ever taught her that. Maybe no one ever taught us that. I know no one ever taught me that until I got into school. And I started to learn about different things of how to be able to speak differently. So then what the judge does, he now calls her Ghetto. He labels her as Ghetto. And now the whole courtroom is now laughing at her. Imagine that. Now she's walking, she's get her out of my courtroom in front of her son. She is totally embarrassed. This is where I want you to look at from this lens. Some of us learn. Now she got it. You got to get me upset. And then she must have said something underneath her breath, because he said something again. She's probably embarrassed. Now, this is the code. This is where she switches. Where she could have switched into strategic communication, I said. Just instead of you begin to be in this survival mode of communicating or talking. And it's not about using proper words. Not what I'm saying. Over-explaining is a trauma response. Being defensive is a protective mode. Talking over him was talking from fear and not regulated. She was dysregulated. So now, it doesn't mean that she could not shift her communication strategy. And I don't know, because she went back, and you can watch the end of the video later. But she came back, she still had the same type of thing. It was a little less, but she could have moved in a space of having a little less defense, but she was already escalated. So let me show you the difference. When you're in survival communication, you're behind on your rent, just like the situation. The landlord is threatening to evict you. This is what the scenario was. And then I told you to check yourself. I told you, oh no, she says, she says, I told you the check was in the mail. She said, I mailed it. I've been trying to pay my rent. I got kids. This isn't fair. You're always doing this to us. So what's happening? justification, fighting mode, being combative, emotional, your nervous system is up, defense mechanisms are there. There's no strategy. There's just reaction. She's escalated. She's dismissing the judge. She's actually dismissing the judge. And I would say this is why she could be labeled, and people, the word, maybe this word, you may not have heard ghetto, but maybe difficult. She's very difficult to work with. That's the word in the office. She's very difficult to work with. Right? And it could be true. But let's hear a strategic way of communicating. Behind on your rent, the landlord is threatened. The first thing she needed to do was get a mentor before going before this powerful judge and get herself regulated and grounded because she was already escalated. The other lawyer had his facts, had his paperwork flailing in the air. Yes, she owes my client this. This is what she never did. She's a liar, judge. So now she has to be able to stand in that. Yes, I am behind on my rent. I have of this much available now. I can pay the remainder by blah, 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 blah. Can we set up something, judge? I have 4 kids. See, regulating is coming from a calm, clear space. Acknowledging the reality, I'm behind on my rent. Not defending anything. Maybe offering the solution. That's the strategy. I thought about this. Yes, I stayed in the house. Yes, can we be collaborative on this? Not over explaining, just facts. That opens the door for negotiation. That shows responsibility. That creates a pathway, possibly. But what happens is in that space, when you're in survival mode, the checking of you better go check the mail. I was gonna pay it. This is always happening to us. Your Honor, I'm behind on my rent. I lost my job, whatever that is. And how you shift from survival mode in any situation is that your signs of communicating needs to come from a space of not over explaining, not getting loud or not defensive, but regulating you, holding your breath for 4. In for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Repeat that 3 times. This shifts you. This begins to get you to strategic thinking and to actually solving the problem and not in justification. And you can stay regulated. Now, what I would tell that young lady is that I would get a mirror. And I got my mirror. And I would start talking to her. I'm not ghetto. I'm not ghetto. I was taught a survival communication, not a strategic communication. When I over-explain, I'm trying to protect myself. I get defensive. My nervous system thinks it's danger. You're in danger. You're in danger. When I elevate or escalate, I'm doing something to keep me safe. But I'm learning a new way. I desire to learn a new way to regulate first, communicate second, and speak with a strategy, not survival. My voice is not ghetto. It may be untrained for a professional setting. And now I'm desiring to be trained and desiring to speak my power now strategically, effectively, clearly. Because girl, you cute. I'm cute. And this may be something you not have learned. So I'm going to put the link in so you can watch this video if you desire. And I hope that you guys got something from this survival communication today. And I hope this was a good strategy from the trauma, the power, the culture, all of it together with nervous system. All right, I am finished here. Anybody got anything to say? How did you like this, or what are your thoughts? I am curious because this is something I didn't do before. I am curious. And let me look at the chat and see if anybody's speaking. You guys are mighty quiet today. All right, Lachelle, yes.
Oh,
I appreciate the training. I agree with the training. I agree with the strategy. Um, I definitely think that we need more of this. And I saw a very broken man. I saw a man that was abusing his power. Um, I saw a bully. And I think all of that it escalated the situation. I think that when you are in a position of power, that there is a responsibility for some level of compassion, leadership, kindness, just those things. I would have to watch the entire clip to really get context. And I'm not dismissing her posture at all. So I really need to see more of how she responded and how how she communicated. But much of that clip was him. And and it was really difficult to watch that. He's a very broken man. So that's my comment.
Yeah, so let me set you and this is the context where I just stopped it in the very beginning. And he was responding to her, and I will agree with you. And I only dealt with her how she responded, right? Because he called her ghetto.
Mm,
And he was saying the lawyer was speaking, and she interrupted the lawyer, and that's when the judge went off.
okay. All right.
And
I'll watch the whole clip.
this is the point where I think Lachelle is saying too, is that, and he is probably not trained either in in effective communication to see when
Mhm.
someone is broken in front of you, like you possibly,
Mm-hmm.
or that, oh, here we go again. I done seen how many that today. I do you the third one now again here with the attitude. Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
It's
He,
like
he was projecting a lot of his stuff, Dr. Cheryl. He had some past issues with a Black woman. Something happened there.
exactly. Well, and this is why when I saw it yesterday, I'm scrolling. I was like, this is probably really good, but I wanted to deal with her because you
Right.
know what? You're gonna get people like him. We're gonna get people like him. And I wanted her not to lose her power, even when you got somebody, because we can't change anybody like that. You're gonna get people like that every single day. But I want her to remain in control. This is why I know I'm here on earth. I'm here to show I was her. I understand her. I understand her trigger. You standing there. I remember when my mother could not pay her rent. I remember when we was evicted. This brought back so many things for me. And I'm just like, is this the way you treat people? And is this the way we do it? I need to train my young ladies how to stand toe to toe with power. And you ain't gotta do nothing but use your words, effective communication strategy. And that's what I think I'm here for. I
Thank
know.
you. That's good. That's great awareness. Thank you.
Thank you. I did something a little different. I know it's a little different now, ladies. Sophia, go ahead.
okay.
I call you regulate yourself because I know you.
It's so many things. I mean, you could be the most. I had to learn. I mean, in some ways, especially getting out of the military, but being in the military to be successful, I could say my bad. Well, this is actually a real example. I was working at a command. It was a command, a small command, like 12 people, only black woman there. Um, and I said my bad to my supervisor. And then later on, oh, we don't like how you said that. I was like, but Scott says it all the time. I literally said my bad because I made a mistake. He says my bad every other word, and y'all, it's a white guy. And they're like, oh, well, we just don't like your tone. I had to really, and I hate that because at the time it's like you can't communicate because it's almost there's always a bias. They see you, so you have to even more be disarming for them to feel comfortable to be around you. But I mean, that video I think is a depiction, regardless if you're in the right or wrong. And I think you told me this a long time ago, Doctor. Uh, Regardless if someone makes you upset and they are, in yourself justified to do so, like if someone did something against you and you should react, it's how you react, because at the end of the day you'll be the bad guy even though they wronged you. And so it's like being mindful about how you respond, because you could easily be goaded into something. I mean, the guy, look, he probably got a white wife, okay? Like simply giving off those kind of vibes. But they're gonna have their opinion. It's also about how you react in the situation as well. So I agree. I think she needed help coaching in that situation because, yeah, tensions are high. You want a place to live, your kid's right there. Um, and then to be embarrassed like that, I don't, and the thing is, on the other side of the spectrum of our pale counterparts, they'll show their whole butt and say, oh, they're just going through it. We don't get the same, we don't get the same grace. It's almost like we have to endure. We're constantly in our civil rights movement. But yeah, I agree. I agree. I thought this was great. I definitely thought of great reflection, and I'm glad I don't have to deal with none of that now. But even when I am in environments, I kind of just smile more and just listen and kind of let them, and if they have something to say, just try to be at the most comfortable level response.
But Sophia, I want to offer you something. You said, I'm glad I don't have to deal with that now. You do have a charge, though.
Yeah.
We have to do this together.
Yeah.
Because if you see another one in the military
Mhm.
that that is happening to, and you're able to give some guidance of how to deal with that,
Yeah.
do it, because you're still in the military. You're still doing some things and doing some things there. But sometimes we can see unjust things, and we can say, okay, well, thank God that's over there now.
Yeah.
I thank God I left there. But then you also have a daughter.
Yeah.
Maybe one day she want to go in the military, and
Yeah.
you have to then train her, or maybe she has to be in the courtroom one day with a judge that's not gonna be that nice to her,
Mhm.
for a parking ticket or something. You
Yeah.
never ever know that where she's gonna need. You always need a strategic communication style. So thank you for that, Sophia. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Anyone else? I would like to say anything. Let me read the comments. You guys are talking your way in here. Miss T says it was triggering. Yes, it was. There are things to note, but strategic communication is necessary. And this brings awareness to a pause. Nice. Shawnee says, that's powerful, Dr. Clarke. So glad you here to talk on the role. Is that talk? Take on the role for us. Much respect, much love and respect for that. Thank you for your comments, lady. Thank you for being up with me this morning. I have put the link inside of the chat for that specific video. And it will also be up. And if something else comes across my social media feed that has to do with communication, has to do with anything like this, or being labeled, or if you see something that we can talk about, it's like, this is a good topic. How would I have handled this? I don't know. But when I saw her, I saw me. I saw parts of me. I saw me over defending myself. Why? And let's just be very clear. The power dynamics, it was there. It's there. But how do you now begin to move in a situation? And it's called strategic communication. And that is what I teach. So I'm excited about this next journey. And I want to give love to her. I pray that all worked out for her and that she can have a mentor for learning how to speak with power and speak to power and not have to shrink. All right? And we pray for the judge and all the judges out there that deal with us and have a little more empathy and being a little empathetic for people that come a little bit in there and may not have that. All right, we all clear today? Anybody else want to say anything before I close out? Well, all right. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Dr. Cheryl Clarke. And remember, your voice does matter. Peace and blessings, and speak your power now, because, girl, you cute. Have a blessed one.
You are enough. Your voice is divine.